live. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Let me make sure my settings are good before we get started. Mic check, mic check. Perfect. All right, how's everybody doing? I apologize we didn't have a members live yesterday. We literally went from summer to winter yesterday. We had such high winds, knocked out the power, the internet, had rain, sleet, snow, and we still have more coming. It's been pretty wild. So I may try to do tomorrow because we've got a lot of stuff going on tomorrow as well, which we'll talk about towards the end of the show. So do apologize. But yeah, it was kind of wild. I took some pictures. I've got to upload them. But yeah, we didn't have any tornadoes, so I guess consider ourselves lucky here. But it was pretty wild. But today we're going to talk about Mica Miller. Her story has been developing. It's kind of, I wouldn't say it's fully developed. Apparently there's going to be a presser tomorrow. But man, what a strange case. If you haven't heard about it, we will cover all the latest details. Before we get going now, let me just pull this up. I always like to get back by featuring the missing. Today's missing is Kayla Morrison, just 16 years old. She was missing, I think, in February. Yeah, it actually says it here in the notes. She went missing earlier this year, February 9th. But a PI, a Chris Castorina, I didn't butcher that, a PI, he actually found her at this Burger King. This photo of her is actually when I believe he discovered her. Kayla went missing from a group home. She was last seen wearing gray sweatpants, black t-shirt, basically what you're seeing here, because he had found her at this Burger King. And this is in Phoenix, Arizona. He found her on March 2nd. So it's been now 2 months since that's happened. At this Burger King on 7th Street and Broadway. He had found her, and I believe there's like a short little clip of him like walking up to her, and this is just a screen capture of that clip. But he has her missing poster. And he lays it down and says, "Is this you? I've been looking for you." And she kind of smiles and stuff. But anyway, it says that she has been suffering some, is this the one? Yeah, some mental health history. But apparently he found her, and then authorities were on their way. And then apparently when they showed up, she disappeared. And from there has not been seen since. So age 16. Now missing since March 2nd of this year out of Phoenix, Arizona. Brown hair, brown eyes, 5'6". And this was literally, from what I understand, the last picture of her, because that was when he had found her at the Burger King. Looks like she was in good spirits and in good health when he did find her on March 2nd. But from there, she took off, sadly. All right. Let me make sure. Eric says, been looking into this case. So glad you're covering it because it's been wild. Yeah, it has. I started researching it well before the medical examiner report came out. So, and plus there's going to be a press conference tomorrow. But it is definitely wild. So I'm going to go ahead and
I just want to let you know.
Get everything pulled up real quick here. And this case is out of South Carolina. Missy says, damn, she's good. Yeah, if you're talking about Kayla. Yeah, hopefully she's doing well, but she has now been missing 2 months, and that's sad that sadly she took off before authorities could get there. So this is Mica Miller, Mica. This is a Facebook video. I believe this is the last Facebook video she posted. Correct me if I'm wrong in chat. This was on March 18th. I wanted to play this first before I gave the details because this kind of just kind of go in chronological order here.
That I'm alive and well, and life's been kind of crazy. The couple past weeks, months, years, but I've kind of had to keep my circle really small for the past couple weeks, just because I'm going through a lot and it's hard, and it's my cross to bear. It's the thing that God has put in my life to deal with, and I don't want to bring a lot of people into it. I'm so thankful to God for a strong family and the friends that God has put in my life to be there for me at this time. I just wanted to share that my heart and my prayer is that the church would stay strong, that y'all would stick together, because the church is God's people. It's not a man, it's not a person, it's not me, it's God's people, the bride of Christ. And there's a lot of really good people in the church that that I just hope would continue on, press toward the calling, run your race, stay encouraged, stay in your word, keep worshiping. Like
I just wanted to play a small little clip from that where I talked about more. So she was born on March 7th, 1994 in Wichita, Kansas, daughter of Michael Francis and Angelita Ramirez. Her husband, Pastor John Paul Miller, who we're going to be talking about a lot. I put 4, but I believe he has 5. She would have had 5 stepchildren. And these are all John Paul Miller's children from a previous wife. She also had 1 brother and 4 sisters. She was 30 at the time. She passed away literally just over a week ago, Saturday, April 27th of this year. At the time, we didn't know, but it was just reported like hours ago that we only knew that she had died from a gunshot wound. It has been reported it was a self-inflicted wound, although they're going to have a press conference tomorrow, and we'll look at the report and everything, but we wanted to kind of go in chronological order for those that haven't heard this story. But Penny makes a great point. The medical examiner's report says consistent with self-inflicted, but did they test for GSR gunshot residue on the hand? Yeah, obviously, if it was in her right temple or, right side or left side, did her right hand, whatever side it was, did either hand, have gunshot residue? Because unless she was wearing gloves, you would expect gunshot residue, which is something that ejects from the gun. Not only would she have gunshot residue on the side that she was shot with, but obviously it blowback on her hand. So yeah, that's a great statement, and maybe that's something that they'll bring up tomorrow if that is the case. But yeah, that's a great statement. Yeah, it was 5. I think I accidentally missed. I typed that out wrong with 4 there. So then here is John Paul. All right, I thought I paused it there. John Paul Miller, a pastor. Now I'm not sure his age. Someone correct me. I know it's got to be like mid 40s, like 44, 45, or 46. I couldn't find a date of birth, but I know just because of when he supposedly met her, she was in her mid-teens, so that would put him in his mid-40s when this happened. A little bit about John Paul Miller. Spent his teenage years playing the piano in churches and at nightclubs. Found Jesus in his mid-20s, and in 2006 did his first sermon. In 2016, he opened the new church, Solid Rock, at Market Common, which we'll see a few short clips of him speaking. He did have 5 children from a previous wife. He would meet Mica when she was a teenager, and the two became best friends, and then they would get married years later. I'm not sure exactly what year they got married. But then there was some turmoil. Mica would file separate support and maintenance. Also a no contact order on April 15th. She also filed for divorce last year in October, and then in February this year, it seemed like they were going to try to reconcile, but then it seems like definitely in March, there was a lot of stuff going on, which we'll kind of cover here in a bit. But after his no contact order on April 15th, just 12 days later, she would be found in a wooded area with apparently a self-inflicted gunshot wound. And here is just some of the no contact order and when it had arrived. I think she had sent it on the 15th, and I believe it arrived on the 23rd is what this is showing here. And they thought that was suspicious. And then, of course, he was a pastor at this place here, and on April 28th, a day after her self-inflicted gunshot wound, is when he had this short sermon.
Instead, I'm going to have you stand up, and I'm going to make an announcement. And after the announcement, I'm going to ask that you leave church quietly and don't talk about the announcement here in the building, please, if you can. So y'all can stand to your feet. Before I make the announcement, I also want to say that my request to you is that you will continue to come to church and serve and give for the next little bit, because I don't want to have. I'm taking a little bit of a break, and I don't want to have to worry about the church. My break may be a few days, a few weeks, I don't know. I got a call late last night. My wife has passed away, and it was self-induced, and it was up in North Carolina, and we're gonna have a funeral for her next Sunday here at 3 p.m. And so it's all I can. Yeah, I'm just kind of going on adrenaline right now. So
I would say that's kind of interesting. He uses the word adrenaline. And then, of course, he's having everybody get up. He doesn't want them talking about it. A lot of people, there's a lot of red flags in this video here.
Y'all pray for me and my kids and everybody. And she wasn't. Y'all knew that she wasn't well mentally, and that she needed her medicine that was hard to get to her.
Those are just kind of the approximate location that she was found in Lumber River State Park, which we'll talk about here in a bit. But apparently, from what I understand, the family said she had no connections to this Lumber River State Park. I'm sure we'll learn more tomorrow. Here is her obituary. I'm not going to read it all. It kind of goes over a lot of what I just talked about as far as like when she was born, her age, when she passed away. The one thing that's kind of interesting is you kind of go towards the bottom here. It talks about, and this was supposedly written by him. So it goes on to say, she would praise her husband. So he's talking about himself and Mica. She would praise her husband after every church service, telling him he was the best preacher in the world. And then, parentheses, even if that wasn't true. She also told him he was the funniest preacher in the world, even though that wasn't true either. So, kind of odd remarks like that, that were supposedly this was written by him. Some of his history, which a lot, I have to be careful with YouTube, but as you can see here, damaged property, aggravated, the deadly weapon, possession, liquor by a minor, and these are 2 times, possession, more liquor with minor, cannabis, contributing to the delinquency of a child, DB, bodily harm, DB, physical contact, more assault, being on the premises after warning or refuse to leave. And then when we get into his father, which, I don't know, if we get time, maybe we'll touch on that. But apparently there's some really bad rumors. We just have to say allegedly for right now until they're confirmed. But there's some really bad stories about his father as well. Let me see. I wanted to say,
that have reached out to me.
The back of the head, that was a rumor, and obviously I think that has now been debunked as far as the gunshot where the wound was. I'm assuming we may learn more tomorrow during the presser. So here's another video where she talks about some of the stuff she's going through. She doesn't mention him by name, but it's pretty clear who she's talking about.
About situations of abuse. And I just want to tell you what a lot of people have told me. Male or female, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what gender you are. Abuse is abuse. And you are the bride of Christ. And my Bible says that he took all the abuse you could think of for you so that you didn't have to live that life of slavery and bondage and pain.
And listen to this.
So you don't have to stay in a abusive relationship, whether that's sexual, whether that's somebody forcing you to take illegal drugs, or alcohol abuse, or physical abuse, psychological abuse, making you think that this is all your fault, or you're a bad mom, or you're a bad wife, or you're a bad husband, or you're not giving it your all when you know you are.
With us.
So I'm not sure when that video was posted. I was just able to get the clip from that YouTube video there. But yeah, a lot of what she's saying is apparently alleged towards John there.
Suicide before, and each time, helped her through it, took her to her doctor, and we got through it, and everything was fine. And she even gave a few testimonies here at church. We have on video of times where she had battled suicide, but God took care of her and got her through it.
But friends and family,
because it's a tragic life was lost, and it's not just as simple as somebody had some mental issue.
And then her sister, this is Sierra, the sister. There's a lot of talk already going on, so I want to set the record straight. Our sister, Mica Miller, passed away yesterday. Please do not listen to the false stories being shared about her. Mica was a God-fearing, joyful, loving woman who did not deserve the abuse she endured. If you hear anything about this from anyone other than her family, please question it. Reach out to her siblings or parents. Keep our family in your prayers. And if you have any information that needs to be, and then it goes on. But a pretty strong statement from the sister, claiming that what Mica is alleging is true. And then this is something that got released. As far as I know, I had seen it come out today. I think some of this stuff had been mentioned. Again, this is something that I just started researching this case, so there's a lot that I don't know. So please correct me if I get anything wrong. I don't know if I'm going to read all of this, but there's a few things that statements in here that are pretty concerning. And this is, let me see if I can go back here. So this is coming from the sister, the petitioner. So I am the petitioner, the sister, and the proceedings of which are pending before the probate court as to the appointment of special administrator for my sister's estate. I am Mica's younger sister, having been raised by our parents, Michael, Angelina, and our siblings. We ultimately settled in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina in 2007 with our mom and stepdad. I was aware of Mica's family dynamics, relationship with her husband, John Paul Miller, and the stepchildren. Moving on. Mica and I spoke every few days, texting daily, so much as to even create playlists together. Mica would drive to visit me and my family in South Carolina at least once a month. I know my sister to have expressed the abuse and violence against her and her husband. Against her by her husband to others, including family members and members of the church. Mica told me there were people following her, keeping track of where she went. She thought that Mr. Miller hired people to follow her. Mr. Miller later confirmed this during a sermon I watched. Mica confided in me that Mr. Miller was moving assets that were in his name, such as his vehicle, changing the deed to their house to the church, transferring interest in Crocodile Rocks to one of his sons. In February 2024, Mr. Miller removed my sister's personal items from the home, then shared while she was admitted to a mental health facility, and then left them at an apartment from Diana. I'm going to butcher that last name. My sister was not aware that her personal possessions had been moved from the residence until she was released from the hospital. Some really shady stuff. Prior to her admission, oops, let me get this because this is where it gets really wild. Prior to her admission from the mental health facility, Mica was gathering and sorting evidence she had to bring to an attorney for filing divorce and to support her claims against Mr. Miller as to her abuse, character, her his paramours and associates he paid off or blackmailed. While at the facility, those documents, emails, files, etc. were removed from her phone, personal laptop, vehicle, and purse and never recovered. Further, Mica was unable to access her iCloud account, email, or Facebook profile. Mr. Miller continued using at least one of Mica's accounts, causing any recipient to believe it was Mica's communications. Mica talked about what she wanted her life to be following her divorce from Mr. Miller, having traveled from a church mission this past fall from October 15th through October 27th. And this was around the time where she filed for divorce last year. Mica was intending to participate in additional missions, even to live part-time in Kenya, which we're going to look at a video here in a minute. Mica recently shipped some of her personal items to Kenya in preparation of her stay there. My sister was hopeful for her future after filing for divorce from John Paul. My sister also expressed to me that she was fearful she would not make it to the divorce and that her life would be taken from her. It is my belief based on conversations with my sister that she told multiple people, including other family members, and this is the big one. Mica stated to me on many occasions, if I ended up with a bullet in my head, it was not by me. It was JP, John Paul. Mica, let me let this go a little bit. Mica forwarded a family group text message notifying us that Mr. Miller was served the divorce papers on April 25th. Notice the date, which would have been 2 days before the gunshot wound. And then April 27th, she was found dead as a result of a gunshot wound in Lumberton, North Carolina. So yeah, pretty wild stuff. This is sworn. This was dated May 2nd. Today's May 6th, so that was 4 days ago by her sister. So pretty strong stuff. Of course, now they have ruled today, that came out a few hours ago, or 4 or 5 hours ago, that it has been ruled a self-inflicted gunshot. But apparently there's going to be a presser tomorrow. We'll maybe hear some more stuff, but the family felt like there was some shady stuff going on. And with that quote there, with
Hey guys.
her saying, if there was a bullet found in my head, it was not by me, it was JP. That's really shocking stuff. Larry says, I hope Mica's sister is watching her back. Yeah, I mean, a lot of this is still allegations, but, if true, it sounds like this guy's pretty shady. Scary. Gil Hurd, thank you so much for gifting one Mob Crew membership, and thank you so much for the gifts I did receive. Many things, I've got them in the other room, so, but thank you so much. But I'll play, oh, is that a different one? Another one. Oh, Gil Hurd, again, gifting another Mob Crew membership. Thank you so much, Gil. If you did get gifted a Mob Crew membership, please thank Gil if you can. Boo says, if you watch GH, he had a local on, said Mica was found in the water. I did remember hearing something about some kayakers had found her. But that was just obviously speculation and rumor. If she was found in the water, yeah, that is weird. I mean, yeah, that's something I'd have to look into. 'Cause yeah, did she shoot herself near, like, is it a river? I mean, was she? Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. I'm sure tomorrow that it'll clean a lot of stuff up. So here's another person. She posted this yesterday. Kyler, not Tyler, on TikTok. She's been somebody that's been like updating this case and has gotten some really interesting info. A lot of this, I would say, some of this is, still speculation.
So I just got another update on the Mica Miller case. This is probably the most important information I've been told so far. Again, I want to remind everyone that I am not releasing my sources to keep people safe, but they are very credible. You can think what you want, but I have nothing personal to gain from this, so here it goes. Mica kept a binder of proof of everything that JP has done. It's been handed over to authorities, and her affidavit will be going public this week or next. Everything she said, JP backed up in a BS apology to her, which there's no documentation of, which includes him literally saying he wanted to hurt her, so at the very least, he may get hit with that legally. This source spoke to the legal team at the hospital to discuss who was to get her body, and was told, per the coroner, that this is a clear-cut suicide, but nobody in the office believes it, based on everything she told them, and especially after speaking to JP. He called their office repeatedly Monday, frantically asking about closing out the divorce to get it finalized, and they flat out said no, and he should be more focused on planning a funeral and having an autopsy done. And he tried to play it off like he didn't know what an autopsy was and didn't find it necessary at all. This source also knows the officer who served him the papers 48 hours prior to her death. They said JP was absolutely shocked and did not expect this at all. And they left it very basic, of just separation, and did not include anything about adultery, so he couldn't plan for it and would be shocked in court when it all came out. He regularly forced her in his truck, and they'd pick up usually homeless people or any man they'd see, and he'd pay them.
Okay, now keep in mind this is, allegedly, but this is some really disturbing stuff right here.
To ejaculate on her, and one time it was someone he thought was a woman and it was a male, and JP sucked him off. He used her to jerk off to her he used to jerk off that was not bipolar or schizophrenia and being off her meds for months, but that she seemed 100% well off and not in any sort of mental crisis from being off the meds. The power of attorney she signed was originally by her brother, but JP changed the papers after the fact, possibly forging the signature, but we aren't sure yet. So he had power of attorney over her. I will post more updates as I find them, but please like and share this. We're getting closer.
Pride and mental illness, or I think
that's a little loud, sorry. So let me get caught up in chat, and then I'll just play a few clips from a few of his services real quick. Sorry, I'm just getting chat caught up here. Oh, so that was her. So she was on GH, okay, and that she was found in water. I've heard that. Like I said, I don't know if we can state that as fact until we know, but I mean, I have heard that. Would be, again, that would be that'd be a huge red flag, because I mean, you unless you shot yourself right by the river and then to go in, I don't know. Like I said, I'm sure we'll learn more tomorrow. The presser's supposed to be at 9 a.m., but when it was posted, it didn't say like Eastern time. I don't know if that's local time. If anybody can correct or knows if that's supposed to be 7 a.m. Eastern time, or excuse me, 9 a.m. Eastern time. I'm trying to do it from my time. Or if that's 9 a.m. local time, which that would be 2 hours ahead of me, so it'd be later. Or no, earlier. Yeah, anyway, if anybody knows exactly what time that is, I just saw 9 a.m., but I don't know if that's local time or if that's Eastern Standard Time.
Mental illness is probably the most horrible thing we can face in our bodies, and pride is probably the most horrible thing we can face in our spirits. And here's why. When you're mentally ill, it's the one sickness you have that you don't know you're sick. And you have to trust people around you because you're saying, no, they're lying to me. They're telling me I need medicine. I don't need medicine, because the thing that's sick is your mind, and your mind is what you need to realize that you're sick. One day I'm going to preach about getting rich, strong, healthy, and finding a hot wife that loves Jesus. That's what I'm going to do.
So notice the date, March 10th, and it seems like a lot of these services, he kind of used his platform to talk about his marriage. Kind of, and I don't know if vague is the right word, but he definitely used his platform to talk about his marriage.
Just kidding. That was wrong. I told you I shouldn't be here today. I told you. Last year, my wife, they went to Africa, had a wonderful trip, amazing trip, and she came back with the idea to start a school in Africa. And 6 weeks ago, she goes in the hospital, gets out, and just leaves. Just completely leaves me, leaves everything, drains the bank account, and goes. And guess what? While you're talking bad about me out there, I'm building a school in Africa for over 100 kids to be able to be fed. The elders walked out on me and got so upset about stuff. The city of Myrtle Beach called us, and they said, you guys just won the Best House of Worship Award, #1 church in all of Myrtle Beach. I thought, I didn't even know that. I said, how does that happen? They said, we phone call, we poll people all through the community. We look on social media, we see what people are saying, all these different things. And y'all got first place. Oh, that's so cool. 2 years ago when we started the school and people started giving me all kinds of problems and headache and things behind the scenes that had nothing to do with the school at all, got upset, stabbed me in the back. Myrtle Beach called us again. Guess what? Y'all got Best Church of the Year 2 years in a row. That's amazing. You can't keep me down. You're putting fuel in my plane. And guess who's not going to be in the
hot
plane?
wives,
My enemies. Yeah. You have to take a taxi if you want to get there. And I pray for you, my enemies. I pray that you come to a place of repentance. I pray that you realize you're not hurting me. You're hurting the kingdom of God.
When I hear that a man do that voice, it drives me nuts. I want to sock him. Oh, God, when they do that fake cry voice, I want to punch him. Oh, it's so fake. Anyway, moving on to a few more clips.
Quit now. One day, listen, if you ever want to know what I'm going through in life, it's always about what I'm preaching about. God is so good to do that every single time.
And so he's usually talking about relationships. So then here when he makes that statement, he's clearly talking about his relationship with his wife. Yeah, that cry. Oh, God, when I hear men do that, oh, it drives me nuts. Oh, God, it's terrible. It's like nails on a chalkboard when I hear that. I'm sorry. It's bad. As you can see, a lot of those were March. They're, as far as I know, those videos are still up. But if you go to the website, like you can go to the Facebook thing, their videos are still up. As far as I looked, I don't know. They might. I wouldn't be surprised they're taken down. For those that I haven't updated, he's supposedly been removed. If we get time, we'll look at that as well. But yeah, he has been removed officially. It's not temporarily. He has been removed, so that's good. But again, the video that I played at the very beginning, notice the date. It's you guys can't see that because it's a little bit hidden. But it's March 18th. You know, it seems like a lot of stuff. I mean, I'm sure more stuff was going on before that because obviously she filed for divorce in October last year. But it seems like that March, with her possibly getting sent, I think that was around the time that supposedly she went to the mental health hospital, maybe just before that or maybe at February. So it seems a lot of stuff was going on. And then I believe in March is when she left that church and then she went to a new church and she kind of got rebaptized or something like that. Now, I think there's a photo of her where she's just been rebaptized. I believe that's a photo from her. I'm not sure 100%, but yeah, he's been removed. Because obviously we played that video at the beginning where he said he was going to be taking time off. They have now officially posted by one of the overseers. I I've never been part of a religion, so some of these terms are kind of foreign to me. But an overseer had posted something that he has been removed. They tried to use a polite word. I forget the exact quote they used.
In Lumberton, North Carolina on Saturday, April 20th.
So here's just a little bit more coming from Kyler. She had another video, I think, before the one I played earlier, which talks a little bit more shady stuff. It's like 10 minutes. I just cut this down to the part where she's just more focused on John, her husband. But in that same video, she goes on to talk about John's father and some really shady stuff there. But I wasn't sure how much time we'd have, so I'm just going to play the part where she talks about just kind of John Miller.
2024. Mica and her blood family have no connections in Lumberton. There was a rumor that she was shot in the back of the head, but per Mica's blood family, this has not been confirmed. There was also concern that JP was going to have her cremated, but this was stopped, and her family did get to see her body. Her husband deemed it a suicide on stage at his church the morning after her death, saying it was self-inflicted and his wife was mentally ill. However, I don't think there is anyone in the world at this point who believes this narrative. Why? JP Miller was known to be an adulterer and abuser. I've had tons of people messaging me since last weekend coming out about how unhinged JP was, not only on stage, but in his personal dealings with former members of his church. What kind of grieving husband could stand on stage the morning after his wife's death, preach an entire sermon with no emotion, and then talk about her so poorly in front of his congregation? It was suspicious from the start. But over the past week, I have gathered more and more information with the help of our community and done a lot of digging, and I now believe this case to be far more sinister than I could have imagined. My social media inbox flood started with tips of JP being seen with his mistress around town since the year of 2021. I learned about his mistress's late husband, who was paralyzed and lived his life in a wheelchair, dying of a drowning in a community pool that year.
Yeah, that is another sketchy story. I don't know if that was like a woman he was seeing on the side. She had like a husband that was a paraplegic. I'm not sure what happened to him. I was just trying to get like the bare basics of this story because there's a lot to go through. But anyway, I believe a woman that he was seeing at some point, correct me if I'm wrong in chat, she had a husband. He was paraplegic, and then somehow he ended up drowning in a swimming pool. And then they were seen together, and yeah, that's,
this was
super
apparently
fishy.
Investigated and deemed a suicide, but again, nobody is convinced of that, especially given his history. I have been getting message after message of witnesses stating how they were treated by JP when they decided to leave the church, from verbal harassment to public shame.
And that is something common, and I hate to use the cult word, but that is something common with Scientology, Nexium. If you guys haven't heard of those, Scientology is really bad. That's the one that Tom Cruise, John Travolta's in. And whenever somebody wants to get out, they are a suppressive person, I think they call them. They have all sorts of crazy terms, but yeah, an SP, I think that's the acronym for it. SP, suppressive person. And whenever a member wants to get out, especially with like Scientology, they are cut off. So if they have like, let's say a wife and a husband are in a group like this, and the wife wants out, and she gets out, and the husband's still in, the church goes to the husband and says, you have to cut all ties with your wife. You cannot speak to her, she'll be shamed and whatever. And it's just crazy. So anyway, they do that in Scientology. Nexium was another really bad group with even just as bad or worse stuff. And they did kind of the same thing, especially if they were to go out and speak badly about that church. They would really do damage control, and Yeah, those are some really bad. Yeah, 2 suicide. Yeah, I know. Oh, I got to be careful with that word. You too. But yeah, really.
Not
some
only
really
did
red
he
flags
mistreat
there.
these people, but he mistreated Mica from the start. Mica was 14 or 15 when she was a member of his youth group at Solid Rock, and JP was in his mid-30s at that time. He was married with children and cheated on his wife with Mica. Mica used to babysit their children.
Oh, cool.
I remember firsthand that Mica got a lot of hate back then, but I always saw her as a victim of grooming, as did most of her friends and family. They eventually married and built a life together. Mica loved Jesus and was extremely active in the church, but so many people have told me that they stood by and watched as JP slowly drained the life out of her with his abuse. He shared intimate things about their relationship on stage during sermons and cheated on her multiple times during their marriage, just like he did to his previous wife. The abuse was not only sexual, but verbal and mental as well. Mica filed for divorce originally in October of 2023. Her last few posts on Facebook before she died were about getting baptized at a new church and vague videos touching on domestic abuse and being forced to take drugs. Never once did she name JP or give details, but reading between the lines is pretty easy. And those that know her knew that it was about him. These videos are still public and on her Facebook today, as JP thankfully does not have access to it. The day after her death, JP was seen with his mistress in public at Coastal Grand Mall. This man has not once appeared to be grieving his late wife. I believe that this mistress is probably a victim as well and has been for years. I haven't been able to confirm how long they've been together. Allegedly, when Mica escaped JP in February of 2024, which was only a few months ago, a friend of hers was hiding Mica in their home to keep her safe from him. Mica has told this friend that JP used to sexually abuse her, make her watch him have sex with other people.
So I'm sorry, just be careful. I don't want to get
Her friend who ended up
YouTube.
hiding her and told her, I am not mentally ill. I'm not sick. I don't want to harm myself. He is going to make it look like I killed myself. He's trying to frame me. One day I know he's going to do it. This statement has thankfully been given to police. I also have a screenshot in my phone of Mica texting with a friend about her relationship with JP and how excited she was to rebuild her life without him, and that she was sorry she didn't listen to her sooner. On April 23rd of 2024, the day before she died, a temporary hearing date was set for Mica and JP's divorce. The relief hearing date was set for June 5th of 2024. Anyone can pull this file from the family court records.
Okay, just a few more things here to go over, because there's a little bit more that's pretty wild. Let me go right there. Oh, that fake cry. Tiffany, it's going back to that fake cry. I know, that fake cry. When I hear a man do that, oh gosh, like I said, it's nails on a chalkboard to me. So, like I said, March, it seems like a lot of stuff was going down in March. I'm sure there's more, obviously, but it just seems March, there's a lot that's coming out. So, Mica made 2 complaints on March 11th, the first coming after her vehicle's tire was found slashed near Springmaid Pier. The second complaint, filed hours later, came after Miller took her vehicle to the East Coast Honda on Highway 17 bypass to have the tire repaired. The police reports indicate that the suspect in both incidents was a male, but did not identify him. According to the police reports, Miller first contacted officers about 1:20 a.m. March 11th to report one of her tires had been slashed. They met her off Margarita Drive. Miller told officers this is the second time a razor has deflated her tire in the last week. Miller said she was leaving Springmaid Pier when she heard a pop and noticed that a piece of metal was protruding from her tire. By the time she got to Margarita Drive, the tire was fully deflated. The officer observed the tire, and upon removal of the metal piece, it was found that the metal was a tire deflation device that can be purchased online. I have never heard of that. Makes me want to look that up. When I read that, I'm like, that is just crazy. I mean, that they'd have something like that. A piece of metal you put in your tire and it deflates it. I don't know. I mean, unless it's for commercial use, I guess, but that's pretty wild and scary. Justice for Mica, purple. Yeah, thank you guys. Yeah, and justice for Mica. Even if it was just DV or abuse, still to be driven to that point, if that's what happened. Of course, we'll learn more tomorrow. Let's see, and there's just a couple more. The suspect's identity in the is redacted in both reports, but Miller said she noticed strange activity in what she believes as people following or watching her. Miller also told officers that the suspect had history of similar actions against her. So I'm assuming, obviously, the person who's redacted in this, I'm sure we all can put a name to. Police said that there was not enough evidence to charge anyone in the tire slashing incident. And the county police officer went to the East Coast Honda to investigate the harassment complaint. Miller told him that another officer had helped change her tire and that she had headed to a gas station before going to East Coast Honda. While getting fuel, the suspect in the incident showed up to her at the pump trying to talk to her. She told him to go away. She does not want to talk to him. And then when she pulled her out, maybe her phone out. Maybe it's missing something here. When she pulled her phone out to record, he sped off. Yeah, I just forgot to put phone. There's one more page to this. Yeah. But that device is so wild. So this was posted not too long ago. The cause of death has been released. This was something that they were waiting today. And I've got a couple of different screenshots. But it says, according to Robeson County Medical Examiner Dr. Richard Johnson, Miller died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Dr. Johnson said, based on the nature of the wound, that it is consistent with the self-inflicted gunshot wound, and it was not in the back of the head as it was speculated. I do recall that. And here is the actual, because before that's all we had, and now this was put on Twitter. Is aware that the information pertaining to Mica Miller's death has been released by North Carolina Medical Examiner's Office. Sheriff Wilkins has scheduled a meeting with the family of Mica, and will be releasing more detailed information to substantiate the medical examiner's findings tomorrow evening. Sheriff Wilkins is also asking for everyone to please await the full timeline events before making assumptions and coming to conclusions. And here it is, presser Tuesday 9 a.m. So again, so is it 9 a.m. Eastern time, or is it 9 a.m. whoever posted this? Is, I guess, because I know I kept saying, is it local time or Eastern time? I know it's Eastern time. I meant to say, is it 9 a.m. from the person who posted this, or is it, the local time there? So either way, that'll be early tomorrow. And then we have, not to get off topic, but we have Richard Allen's pretrial tomorrow as well. So a lot of stuff going on tomorrow. Wallflower, the tire deflation device is something like a small stop stick. Yeah, I'm kind of curious about that. Like, what? Metal deflation device. Oh, it sure is it? What? Yeah, spike strip. That's what it's. Oh, so this is an actual, like, the way it made it sound was like some kind of device that like has like some kind of components to it. So this is just like a spike strip. Okay. I mean, that makes sense, but, or like caltrops. Um, yeah, that's crazy. That's what they're saying right there. Oh, you guys can't see that one. Yeah, so definitely intentional. Wow, that is wild. Okay, so Eastern time, that was 9. So okay, so that's 7 a.m. my time. So that's fairly early. I sell them on Amazon. Yeah, that's great. I mean, not that you couldn't get anything to deflate a tire like that anyway. But yeah, wait. It is interesting. Yeah, you can get them on Amazon. That's pretty wild. So anyway, let me just get caught up on chat. But yeah, I think we'll learn a little bit more. I know press conferences are hit or miss, as far as how much information they can actually release. Yeah, I apologize, Gelherd. Because especially YouTube won't like to hear that stuff. I usually try to cut certain stuff out. I thought I did, but apparently I missed a few. But yeah, they go on to talk about her, the father of John Miller, and that's some that's some really rough stuff, bad. And I'd probably about half of that I'd have to be really careful about, just because of YouTube and everything. But it sounds like there's some shady stuff that runs in the family, and then the fact that they're let's just go to the website real quick. I'm just curious if they still have this stuff up or if they've taken it down. Let me see if I can find that link again. News Nation. Now they had the link right to it. Before that, I think it was this one here. Yeah, but I'd be curious to know. I mean, I know someone was saying that she was found in the water. I mean, until we hear that officially, we have to be careful. No, this isn't the one. Anyway, it was interesting. Their Facebook page was like still up and away, but like the link to the actual website. Here, let's just listen to this. I don't know. Maybe they say something. I don't know. This was 12 hours ago, though.
About a week ago, Pastor John Paul Miller told his congregation that his wife, 30-year-old Mica, took her own life after struggling with mental illness. But her friends and family say otherwise and want police to, quote, deeply investigate what happened.
I love Wonder Woman.
More than 100 people rallying outside John Paul's church in Myrtle Beach, demanding justice for Mica. This happened on Sunday. Our very own Kelsey Kernstein has been digging into the story. Kelsey, some pretty startling court documents revealing what may have happened just before Mica died.
Yeah, hey there, Hannah. They really are startling. So according to reports, just days before she died, she filed multiple times for a legal separation from her husband. We're also learning that she even filed for divorce back in October. Then Mica posted on Facebook about abuse just weeks ago. The video offers advice for people who may be in an abusive relationship, and some believe that this video is proof that Mica was in one herself.
Yeah, so obviously this is okay. I thought maybe they might talk a little bit about, but I haven't seen anything as far as like a news report saying this is where the body was found. If you find anything, please email it to me. I'll keep a lookout. But I'm sure tomorrow, we'll probably learn a little bit more. But again, press conferences are kind of hit and miss. So, yeah, June 5th, that was when it was supposed to go through, and it was served on April 25th, right? She had served it, or she had applied for it, and then he was served on the 25th, which was 2 days before. So yeah, there was a lot of red flags. Of course, this was, today is when the official medical examiner's report. Will they file for a second one? And then people brought up some great questions. I think gunshot residue is going to be a huge one. I'm sure that probably be, if they do answer questions, I'm sure somebody's going to probably ask that, unless they address it first, in the press conference. But I think that'll be something that people will be curious about. Yeah, there was one more thing I wanted to show. There was something about where the family had talked about about the place that her body was found, that she had like no ties to that, so they thought that was kind of odd that she was found there. Maybe I just didn't save it in here. May not have been. No, I don't know what I did with that one. In here? Nope, that's her obituary. Yeah, I'm not sure what I did with that, but anyway, let's see what time it is. We've been about an hour. See here. Good to see a HJ when abusers realize you set boundaries, no longer follow the program they set out to literally destroy you. I mean, that it could be him. I mean, it could be, maybe there was no foul play, but did he drive her to, insanity, more or less? Which is just as terrible. I saw something pop up, so I don't want to miss that. Anyway, just a couple of things before we Fly Girl, thank you so much for becoming a member and supporting the channel. So yeah, I wanted to do a members live tomorrow, make up for yesterday, because I just couldn't, between I've got a metal roof, so with all the rain and everything coming down, it's super loud. And then we had just such horrible winds yesterday that it knocked out the power and internet for a little bit. So maybe we'll do that, because we've got the pre-trial for Richard Allen tomorrow, and then also the presser. So we could probably recap those two. So with that, yeah, that is something that people wondered. I mean, he said decamp. So yeah, they're like, how did he know she had a self-inflicted? Because he says self-induced, which is weird, because you induce labor. So it's a weird word, but anyway. I mean, he did say he got a call, last night, I think was, I mean, we could look at it one more time. I mean, it wouldn't be a big deal, right? Let's see.
I just want to let you know that
sorry,
I'm
that's
alive
loud.
and well, and
Oh, it's so hard to see
would
that.
continue.
Instead, I'm going to have you stand up, and I'm going to make an announcement. And after the announcement, I'm going to ask that you leave church quietly and don't talk about the announcement here in the building, please, if you can. So y'all can stand to your feet.
Yeah, why can't they discuss that? That was another kind of red flag.
Before I make the announcement, I also want to say that my request to you is that you will continue to come to church and serve and give for the next little bit, because I don't want to have. I'm taking a little bit of a break, and I don't want to have to worry about the church. My break may be a few days, a few weeks. I don't know.
Your break's going to be permanently, buddy.
I got a call late last night. My wife has passed away.
Late last night. Okay. So according to him, that's when he got the information, which could be true. Who knows? But yeah, it is interesting that would they tell him, that it was self-inflicted, or would they just say, "Hey, we found your wife's body, and we'll explain more when you come in to see us," or whatever? But yeah, who knows? He's such a liar. Yeah, he just seems like a creep. I've listened just a little bit of clips from his different services, and they're it's cringe. Deanna May, the coroner that just volunteered his help on this case, he posted that she was found in the water, but he cannot give the official cause of death because he was only assisting in it. Interesting. So, I haven't seen that post. But yeah, I'm sure we'll learn more. So, oh, I would, Chris, but I'm about to finish up. I was thinking about doing a poll before we started, but I had seen the poll for JB, JB Buno. What was it? One person voted that they thought what he was saying was the truth, and 98% said no, he's lying. So I'm pretty sure it'd be about the same. Yeah. Definitely classic narcissist. But with that, I think we'll finish up here, and then members, I'll go live tomorrow. I'll probably also do just like a short update video on it if like there's some interesting stuff from the presser. Because usually I'll do lives Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then I try to do short videos on the opposite days. So usually content each day. But yeah, so for the members, I think we'll have just kind of like an afternoon members only live makeup for Sunday. And we'll kind of cover a little bit of everything. So, yeah, I saw Jasmine. I saw quite a few of you in the chat in there. I was obviously taking notes and putting the video together, but I had it on my other screen, and I did see Jasmine and a few others in there. With that, thank you to all the wonderful mods helping out. Thank you, D, Copper, Karen. I think I saw Karen in here. But we have a wonderful community, and I thank you guys so much. Of course, we don't just cover true crime. We actually go out and help look for the missing. Although we're going to be taking the rest of this month off to cover the Richard Allen trial, and then as soon as June starts, we'll be going back out with the drone to be searching. I'm gonna kind of keep an eye on a few cases. So. And with that, and then just thank a few people that sent PayPals and Venmos the other day. Thank you guys so much for the support. So. With that, I hope you guys have a wonderful night. Justice for Mica. And with that, and new outro. I know some few people sent in some pet pictures for the outro. I need to update that, so please be patient. I will have that hopefully by the end of the week. So, all right, guys, love you. Be safe. We'll see you Wednesday.